Hi, welcome back. In the last video, we introduced the idea of using layers to do instrument changes on a single staff. On this video, we'll continue to move forward and we'll introduce the idea of using banks. And just to kind of introduce the idea of banks, I'm first going to come in here to my contact player. And we'll essentially be doing the same thing we did in the last video, having this marimba player switching over to bells. Now, the way to think about banks is essentially a container of instruments that will be listed as what are known as programs. So first what I want to do is delete the staff that I want to have as banks, or as a bank, or the channel I want as a bank. So this number 5 channel, that as you can see right here in our instrument list, it's our marimbas. They're all currently on channel 5. We'll go ahead and delete this. Then we'll come in here under our VDL instruments and choose empty bank. And then we'll just drag it on in here. It'll load that into the empty space, and you'll notice here it's on channel 5. So all these empty numbers down here, you'll see it's going to go 1 through 128. These are what is known as programs within a bank. Now you can drag in various sounds. You can't actually use the flyout menu here, but you can essentially load up in as many sounds as you want into a bank. Well, I guess 128, but who loads 128 sounds onto a bank? Unless you're the Dick Van Dyke one-man band. But that is not the case here. Let's go to our marimbas. And we'll go ahead and drag. You can't double click here, you have to drag it directly into the bank. We'll load in that marimba we've already had loaded. And then we'll load in this glockenspiel bright plastic. Go ahead and drag that in. Alright, so something to note here, this is program 1 and this is program 2. Now, if we look at the instrument list, something we'll kind of need to make sure that we're making note of here is that we can't really think of this sort of grouping right here, even though it still says marimba, as a marimba staff. We need to think of this sort of set of stuff more or less as this new bank. Now, if I was to play this back, this would actually automatically switch to the 13th program here because I have this set to program 13. So what I'll need to do is set this to 1, and this will need to be set to whatever the default sound is that you want to hear. So if whenever I was entering parts or just kind of tinkering around on the keyboard, if I wanted to hear this Glock sound, that's what I would enter. But I actually want it to be that first one. So at this point, this really kind of becomes negligible. It doesn't really matter what this GM is set to. All right, so we're pretty much good to go there. I'm going to drag this, move up the score a little bit so you can see this a little better. I'll go ahead and play what we've got, starting here from 8. Something I'm actually going to do here is select this Glock instrument here, so you can see when the music starts playing that it'll automatically switch back to the correct program that it should be playing on. And then I'll set it here to measure 8, so we can hear and see what's going on. Cool. So you can actually see by default, because that's what the program is that I have set in the instrument list, it hops over to program 1. Now, if I'm wanting to have, maybe in the same place we did in the last video, have this person swap over to bells, we'll actually need to put in what's known as a patch change. So to do that, we'll use our MIDI tool. And it'll happen right here. And we don't actually have to select everything here because the patch change just happens right on this bar. So we'll go ahead and double click. And you can see I've actually already got the patch change box selected here. You can see when it comes up, it's telling Finale that you want to add or remove patch changes in the music. And then you'll just need to come in here and click and drag to highlight the measure to say that that's where we're wanting it to change. You could do multiples within bars, but this will just be for the entire bar. Then we'll come up here to MIDI tool, select set to, and then we want it to be 2 for switching over to our number 2 bank, or sorry, our number 2 program down here. All right, so we're good to go there. Now, if I was to come in and enter music, even though this is set to the second patch in our bank down here, it's still going to play back as the marimba. So I'll actually go ahead and enter it as using the marimba sound. Doesn't really matter at this stage. Alright, then hit escape to get out of that. Now if I play this back, let's go to measure 8 again, and hit play. Here's the bells. Cool. So you could probably see that it actually swapped down here to the second program. Now the issue here, like I mentioned when I was entering that bell part, is you can't actually hear the bell part unless you come in here and manually select that. So say I wanted to do the same thing I just did. I'll go ahead and delete the music I've got, as well as this. If I came down here and manually selected the bell patch, I could actually pick and choose the sounds I want to enter, this time hearing the correct sounds. Cool. So that's something, coming in and clicking and choosing your patch is something that's particularly handy if you're working with, something like a cymbal rack combo, concert band combo, or something where there's a whole slew of sounds and it's not obvious based on where the notes are located on the staff, which sound you're going to be triggering. So that's it for this time, using banks to do instrument changes. In the next video, we'll cover the same topic using the expression tool. So we'll see you next time.